Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into this really powerful idea, a metaphor that might just change the way you think about everything, from your career to your stress levels. We're talking about the skyscraper with no foundation. So let me just ask you this straight up. Are you putting all your time and energy into building this amazing, impressive life on the outside, while the inside, your inner world, is left feeling kind of fragile and unsteady? And this quote from a successful executive, wow, it just hits home, doesn't it? It perfectly captures that feeling of having it all on paper, the great job, the success. But deep down, just one little thing can make it all feel like it's about to fall apart. That's the feeling we're going to unpack today. So this brings us to our first idea here, the skyscraper illusion. Let's take a closer look and really diagnose what this problem is all about. Here's the heart of the metaphor. You spend years, maybe your whole life, building this incredible structure. Your career, your reputation, all of it. But if you haven't built a strong inner foundation of peace and self-awareness, the whole thing is just incredibly vulnerable. So when one of life's earthquakes hits, a conflict at work, a problem in a relationship, the entire skyscraper is at risk of shaking apart. Okay, so if that's the problem, what's actually causing it inside our own heads? Well, that brings us to this powerful and often totally invisible trap, the mind's hamster wheel. The root cause is what our source material calls our default mind setting. You can think of it like your brain's factory settings. It's kind of anxious, it's super reactive, and if we're not paying close attention, it just takes over and runs the show, driving our mood and all our decisions on autopilot. And this is the cycle that default mind gets stuck in. It's a simple but totally exhausting loop. First, something happens, and we just instantly react. Then, our mind immediately looks for someone or something to blame. And finally, we complain, which just reinforces our own misery. React, blame, complain. On and on and on it goes. Now get this. This isn't just a bad mood or a bad habit. Being stuck on this hamster wheel actually creates a whole new reality for us, a new normal, where, without even realizing it, we become the source of our own anxiety. We are, quite literally, creating our own suffering. Okay, if you only take one thing away from this whole explainer, please make it this next part. Because understanding the difference between perception and projection, well, it's the aha moment that can break that entire cycle. Let me break it down for you. Perception is just the raw, neutral data. The weather is rainy, period. That's it. Projection, on the other hand, is when our mind slaps an emotional story on top of it. I hate rainy days. They're totally ruining my mood. You see, we're taking a neutral event and coloring it with our own personal baggage. And that little act of projection, that's what changes everything. A simple neutral fact becomes what the source material calls a poisonous object, something that now has the power to actively reach in and destroy our inner peace. This all leads to a really empowering idea, a huge one, actually. If our projections are what create our unhappiness, then suffering isn't something that just happens to us. It's something our own mind does. And that means we have a choice in the matter. So we figured out the problem. We see what's causing it. Now what? How do we actually choose differently? Well, let's shift gears into the solution and look at something the source calls the seeker's compass. And this isn't just some vague, feel-good advice. It's a real, systematic, 3-step framework. The first step is Shravana. That means to really listen, to learn the wisdom. The second is Manana, to contemplate it, to reflect on it, to really make it your own. And the last step, and this is the most important one, is Nididhyasana, to put it all into consistent daily practice. So why is this structure so important? Well, because it stops us from getting stuck in what you might call intellectual paralysis. That's where you know all the right things in your head, but you don't actually live them. This process is what turns abstract knowledge into real wisdom. It's what leads to an actual change in behavior and attitude. And what's the destination? Where does this compass lead? To discovering your unshakable core. This is the realization that your true nature is already one of peace, happiness, and wisdom. It's always there, just buried under all the noise of our minds, waiting to be uncovered. All right, let's bring this all home with one final wake-up call. It's a piece of ancient wisdom, but you're about to see just how unbelievably relevant it is for us today. What you're seeing here is the opening verse from a very old Sanskrit text called the Bhaja Govindam, and it's basically a direct plea to the deluded part of our minds, the part that gets so caught up in chasing all the wrong priorities. Now, check out this modern translation because it just lands with so much force. The original word, dukrankarani, referred to mastering the rules of grammar, which was like the ultimate intellectual achievement back then. For us, today, it's our degrees, our life hacks, our productivity strategies, all that stuff. And this is the bottom line, isn't it? Worldly knowledge is great, it's absolutely useful. But when those earthquakes we talked about really hit, when a true crisis arrives, none of that stuff offers any real protection. That protection only comes from the inner foundation that you build. Which brings us right back to where we started, but hopefully with a much deeper way of looking at it now. It's not just about what you're achieving on the outside, it's about what you're building it on. So I'll just leave you with this to think about. What foundation are you really building your life upon?